Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Wednesday Night Madness live on YouTube and StreamYard.com. It is Google MF Michael Fletcher alongside my good buddy Anthony Florio. We are awaiting the presence of Michael Bullock. If he comes in, great. If he doesn't, then I guess we'll wait for him tomorrow night on a very exciting edition of TXN Sports World. We come on to the air tonight. A little sad and a little heartbroken. Within the last 3 hours, news got out that one of the all-time greats in professional wrestling has passed away. Superstar Billy Graham has died. Um, this was confirmed by multiple sources. Obviously, if you were watching the AEW telecast tonight, they mentioned about the death. It was first reported, of all people, the Nature Boy, Ric Flair, on his social media. He was the first to announce it to the world that superstar Billy Graham had passed away. And then obviously it trickled down. And then it obviously trickled down through all the news reports. And indeed, AEW, like I said, also mentioned uh, the death of superstar Billy Graham, and it has been deemed official. Um, Superstar Billy Graham passing away tonight at the age of 79 years old. Um, Everybody knows his early years in professional wrestling, was a pioneer of a lot of different companies, the AWA, the NWA, uh, wrestling for the world. Well, at the time, the Worldwide Wrestling Federation, um, of course, and formerly of the WWF or WWE, we should say. And he was by far one of the all-time greats in professional wrestling. Uh, there's really nothing to say. I mean, you want to talk about guys that he idolized or guys that looked up to him. You know, you got Ric Flair, you got Steve Austin, Triple H, Scott Steiner, Hulk Hogan, Jesse the Body Ventura. There was so many different guys that he monikered. You know, everything that he did in his entire career, which was um, absolutely amazing. And unfortunately, today, superstar Billy Graham passing away due to complications. He was hospitalized back in January for ear and skull infection. It got worse, and basically, he was dealing with a lot of problems. He had problems with the kidneys, the heart, and the lungs. And basically, today he has succumbed to all those um, medical issues, and 3 weeks away from his 80th birthday, and we lose a pioneer of professional wrestling. Um, if you want to know the body of work of superstar Billy Graham, he had the Fight of the Year in 1977 and 1978. He was part of the Hall of Fame, not only of WWE in 2004, but also was a Hall of Famer in the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame and Museum in 2009. Uh, Wrestling Observer honored him by putting him in the Hall of Fame back in 1996. And there's so many different times and different things that we can talk about. Obviously, was a former WWF, the Worldwide Wrestling Federation Heavyweight Champion of the World, and won a Slammy, the Hulk Hogan Real American Award back in 1987. PWI also had him as the most hated wrestler in 1973 and was actually ranked 277th in the PWI years of the 500 greatest singles wrestlers of our time. So um, there's really nothing more to add here. Anthony Florio, you were the one that mentioned it, but obviously it was through the AEW when the AEW telecast, through thanks to Excalibur, and unfortunately we are stunned again by another shocking death in the wrestling world, but this time a Hall of Famer, a legend, and somebody that was a pioneer of professional wrestling in the 1970s and especially the 1980s. One of those forefathers of that rock and wrestling generation, superstar Billy Graham, has died at the age of 79 tonight.
Indeed, he has, MF, and yeah, it's yeah, I overheard something, and then I turned it up and I rewound it back, and then when I heard that, I was like, oh boy, I was like, I got to share this, and I checked, and sure enough, there it was. Superstar Billy Graham dead at the age of 79, and well, he had a lot more accolades than MF mentioned. He was an NWA Hawaii heavyweight champion as part of 50th State Big Time Wrestling. And then in Championship Wrestling from Florida was a two-time NWA Florida heavyweight champion, a Florida tag team champion with Ox Baker, and an NWA Southern heavyweight champion, Florida version one time. CWA World Heavyweight Champion, Continental Wrestling Association, International Pro Wrestling was an IWA World Heavyweight Champion. In NWA Big Time Wrestling, he was an NWA Brass Knuckles Champion, Texas version 4 times. And then in NWA San Francisco was an NWA World Tag Team Champion, San Francisco version, with another late great Hall of Famer, Pat Patterson. As MF also mentioned in the PWI, he was the most hated wrestler of the year in 1973, had the match of the year on MF's birthday, 6 years before MF was born, April 30th, 1977. And ironically, MF, that match against Bruno Sammartino, that's the match where superstar Billy Graham won the Worldwide Wrestling Federation Heavyweight Championship. So that's a little irony right there. And the other match of the year in 1978, February 20th, against Bob Backlund, that's the match he lost the Worldwide Wrestling Federation Heavyweight Championship to Bob Backlund. So a lot of history there, to say the least. And as I've also mentioned, ranked number 277 of the top 500 singles wrestlers of the PWI years in 2003. Pro Wrestling This Week was the Wrestler of the Week, the week of June 1st to 6th, 1987. Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame and Museum in 2009. Worldwide Wrestling Federation Heavyweight Champion one time. Inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame, class of 2004. Inducted by none other than Papa H himself, Triple H, as we all remember. As part of WrestleMania 20, as we all remember, when they brought back the Hall of Fame. You remember, the Hall of Fame, the first couple of years coincided with the King of the Ring, and then in 96, it coincided with the Survivor Series. And then it disappeared for 8 years. And then at WrestleMania 20, they brought back the Hall of Fame. And every year it's been a WrestleMania tradition, with the exception of 2020, obviously, with COVID. But nonetheless, he was a part of that Hall of Fame class of 2004, that loaded Hall of Fame class. And, of course, the Hulk Hogan Real American Award at the inaugural Slammy Awards, 1987. Wrestling Observer Newsletter was voted the most washed-up wrestler in 1982. In 2006, he received the honor of Best Pro Wrestling Book with Keith Greenberg, and then inducted into the Wrestling Observer Newsletter Hall of Fame in 1996. We were not born when superstar Billy Graham was a big name in the Worldwide Wrestling Federation, but it was pretty much when we were little kids, when we were like babies ourselves, when superstar Billy Graham, became a manager, and he was a manager of the Rock Don Morocco, and of course he influenced so many others, and he leaves behind a legacy. I mean, he's had a lot of controversial moments, yes, he has, but in legacy, Roberta Morgan released the kayfabe book in 1979, Main Event, saying, although he is a rule bender, Graham has managed to stay very popular with the fans, probably because of his skill, strength, and colorful personality. As a headliner in Madison Square Garden, which was the WWF's primary arena throughout his tenure, Graham sold out 19 of 20 shows. 19 out of 20. That's awesome. Many wrestlers have based their looks and styles on Billy Graham. Some examples are the Nature Boy Ric Flair, Austin Idol, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Big Papa Pump Scott Steiner, Triple H, Hulk Hogan, and of course, my man Jesse the Body Ventura. Graham was also famous for his characteristic use of the word brother in his promos, referring to either commentators or fellow wrestlers. That stems from his background attending evangelical revival meetings, where everybody referred to each other as brother or sister in Christ. Graham's use of the word caught on, and since then, countless wrestlers have also used brother in their own respective promos, most notably Hulk Hogan. And Graham, often lectured young athletes on the dangers of steroids. His autobiography, Tangled Ropes, released by WWE January 10th of 2006. They also released a DVD about his career titled 20 Years Too Soon, The Superstar Billy Graham Story. And then a new DVD came out in 2013 through Hannibal Pro Wrestling and Seriosity Productions titled Superstar Billy Graham Full Disclosure. And I remember all those times he would say the word brother. And of course, none of those was more evident. The night of the very first SummerSlam 88 in Madison Square Garden. The commentary team for that, Gorilla Monsoon and Superstar Billy Graham. And I always thought a funny running gag I had would be, how many times did Superstar Billy Graham say the word brother during that event? I mean, I could, I know all those times during that show, he'd be like, "Oh, Gorilla Monsoon, brother. Yeah, get him up, brother. Yeah." I mean, that was, that was.
You could probably. Now, I was gonna say, if you want to do a drinking game out of that, you would actually probably get the person drunk after the second fight.
Oh, hell, the first fight, even. I mean, he must have been like, "Oh, Gorilla Monsoon, brother, Hulk Hogan, brother, yeah, my man with the bionic biceps, yeah." I mean, man, I mean, he was so fun on commentary that night. I gotta tell you, I mean,
it does.
MF, yeah. All right.
Commentary wise, show wise, pretty good. But yeah, commentary wise, it was definitely one of the few marvels. If you go back on Peacock, go out your way to watch that event.
Yes, SummerSlam 88, the very first SummerSlam. And it's only fitting that on the 35th anniversary, he's now going to be joining Gorilla Monsoon up there. And I think it's only fitting that we had the two of them call this year's SummerSlam from heaven above. That's all I can say on that. And I guarantee you, Superstar Billy Graham will say the word brother like 200 or 300 times. I mean, it had to be that many. I mean, it's hard to keep count of how many times he actually said it during that. And I'll even give you another funny moment. WrestleMania 4, the pay-per-view before that. When he was managing The Rock Don Morocco as part of the championship tournament. Jesse Ventura, my man, Jesse the Body Ventura, had a funny moment on commentary regarding Superstar Billy Graham becoming the champion. And Jesse said, yeah, I didn't go for it as hard as he did. And he also said he beat an easy champion. Bruno Sammartino, easy champion. Yeah, okay. Last time I checked, he was not an easy champion to beat, let me tell you. A lot like a certain someone nowadays. But anyways, I mean, yeah, he talked about Bruno being an easy champion, obviously, for Superstar Billy Graham to take the title off of. But nonetheless, he tried to come back to wrestling, and then he got put out of action by the one-man gang and the Natural Butch Reed. And the Rock Don Morocco came to his aid. And Gorilla also said he felt that, I'm sure he was probably talking storyline-wise. He was saying if it wasn't for the Rock Don Morocco, Superstar Billy Graham would have been confined to a wheelchair at the hands of the gang and the Natural. And that's something I remember very vividly. But nonetheless, he's sorely going to be missed. And, yes, he did, have some outspoken, controversial moments where he rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. Had a lot of disputes with the McMahon family. And, But thankfully, all was forgiven, and don't be surprised if come Friday night on SmackDown we get in memory of superstar Billy Graham graphic as the show starts on Friday night. Maybe, and they got a couple of days. Maybe they could put together a tribute video. We know how great the production team is when it comes to putting together tribute videos for wrestlers who passed away, and I'm sure superstar Billy Graham will be no exception. And the wrestling world is definitely in mourning tonight, and I'm sure when all the big name wrestlers get word of this, social media is going to be buzzing. And I'm definitely anxious to hear what Hulk Hogan has to say about it. I'm anxious to hear what Triple H has to say about it. Because remember, it was Triple H who inducted superstar Billy Graham into the 2004 Hall of Fame.
And as a matter of fact, as a matter of fact, speaking of superstars and legends, Ric Flair already came out earlier, and like you said, he was one of those influences of superstar Billy Graham. With some of the stuff that he did in his day, and actually, Ric Flair was actually the first one to come out and say his piece, as we would say, about superstar Billy Graham. So, I mean, yeah, I would probably say keep an eye on Twitter within maybe the next few hours or at least the next day or so, with all the tributes coming out very, very soon. Obviously, like you said, the ones you want to hear, Austin, Triple H, and definitely Triple H. I think we definitely are awaiting to hear what he has to say. And then, like you said, I do believe we'll get some kind of tribute or something Friday night on SmackDown on Fox. So definitely something should be coming up within the next, I want to say, probably in the next couple hours. So no doubts.
Definitely. So, so on behalf of all of us here at Talking Wrestling TXN, from MF, myself, and Michael Bullock, if he should come in, and of course, the first lady of this show, Dee Whitson. On behalf of all of us here, we simply, we always like to do what we always do here, and that is simply say thank you for the memories, thank you for the inspiration, but most of all, thank you for superstar Billy Graham. You're certainly going to be missed, and there's only one request that we have here. Superstar, when you get up there and you run into Gorilla, yeah, have fun up there calling SummerSlam up there, guys, on August the 5th when SummerSlam's at Ford Field, 35 years. We'll definitely be thinking about Gorilla and Superstar on that night. So nothing left for me to say in the best superstar Billy Graham voice that I can do. Thank you for the memories, brother. Thank you for the memories, man. That's all there is to it. So, well, all I know is come SummerSlam season, I'm definitely going to be that first one, especially when I run those back. Yeah, that I'm going to be extra sentimental during that one. I always am, but it's going to be extra sentimental. So, yeah, Gorilla Monsoon, brother, Hulk Hogan, brother. Yeah, I'll never forget that. So, and tonight, this one's for you, brother. So there's nothing more to say. MF, his family, his friends, fans, and everybody that he worked with will all be in our thoughts and prayers and condolences tonight. Tonight's show is dedicated to his memory. And with that, it's time to go to work. Time to go to work, boys. Time to go to work. NXT, let's go.
All right. And indeed, we will start with NXT. And we started off with the first bout of the night, which was a semifinal match in the WWE Women's Championship Tournament. Cora Jade versus Fallon Henley. Cora Jade advances. She wins the match, 5 minutes and 5 seconds. This was good. This was actually a fun little sprint. Nice matchup. A lot of people are actually praising Cora Jade, actually saying that this was actually her best performance in NXT. So, I mean, you got that high up, you think really, really strong, and at the end, really good. So, I'd probably say about 2.5 stars. Fun little sprint. nothing more to say. And yeah, Anthony, it's yours.
Yeah, two and a half. I agree with that. The generation of Jade continues to struggle to get off the ground. While her booking would indicate she is a top act in the women's division, her resume and matches cannot live up to that booking. This should have been an easy contest to sell to the fans, but she and Fallon Henley could not get on the same page. The pacing was awkward as Henley had to sell a knee injury but still run to her spots. It might have helped if they had more time, but they did not seem to have chemistry. Cora Jade was always going to win, but Fallon Henley was protected despite the awkward performance from both. Both Cora Jade and Fallon Henley sold their opportunity in pre-taped interviews on the way to the ring. Henley hit a big shining wizard, but Jade rolled outside while her opponent struggled to cover her due to a left knee injury. And then Lyra Valkyria came out to stare down Cora Jade after her win. So this Tuesday night on NXT, the go-home show, it will be Lyra Valkyria squaring off against Cora Jade. And the winner, MF, will meet Tiffany Stratton or whoever comes out of that left side of the bracket for the NXT Women's Championship as part of Battleground Memorial Day weekend. So two to 2.5. I agree with the ratings. So with that, let's move on.
All right, indeed. And then we do move on to a tag team fight. It was the Creed brothers going up against the Dyad, and it was the Creed brothers winning the match 14 minutes and 14 seconds. Anthony Florio, is yours.
14 minutes and how many seconds?
14-14.
14-14. This was hands down the fight of the night, no doubt. 3.5 to 3 3/4 of a star. NXT is getting its money's worth from the Dyad before Fowler and Reed's contracts expire in October. They are putting on strong performances against a variety of teams in defeat. This was a phenomenal showcase of two of the best tag teams in NXT that allowed the Dyad to show more personality than they have in months. Did I see perhaps a little bit of some grizzled young veteran action in there? I hope so.
Yes. Yes.
Which they should have been all along before this ridiculous gimmick, but it is what it is. But the Creeds looked set to recapture the NXT Tag Team Championships against the Gallus Boys. If they do, this is the time to give them a complete reign to solidify their standing in WWE. Creed brothers traded Fowler back and forth in position for a delayed vertical suplex. While impressive, this was also clunky. After Brutus and Fowler collided in the center of the ring, Julius and Reed hit 450 splashes on their respective opponents. Ava Raine tried to sneak attack Ivy Nile, but got choked out for it with a Dragon Sleeper. NXT showed footage of the family at dinner and Tony D'Angelo there. And after it was clear the family was out of the picture, Julius grabbed a commentary headset and called out Gallus for Battleground. And that match has now been made official. The Gallus Boys, MF, will defend the NXT Tag Team Championships against the challengers and former champions in their own right, the Creed brothers. So nothing more to say. So that tag team title match is official, MF. What a matchup that's going to be. So I don't know. It's going to be a loaded Battleground show Memorial Day weekend. So, which is also going head to head with the AEW Double or Nothing. Oh, by the way, so going to be exhausted come Memorial Day. I'll tell you that. So.
Oh yeah.
So not much more for me to say on that. 3.5, 3 3/4. Fight of the night, hands down. And MF, for the first time since they were saddled with this ridiculous gimmick, I think we might have seen a little bit of some GYV coming out of Fowler and Reed. It's about damn time.
Yeah, and if you remember, they were thinking about trying to have them release. Remember, they requested the release. NXT said no. Told them that they're not going to let them go. Maybe this is their way of saying, you know what? All right, let's do something different. All of a sudden now, here we are looking at them possibly turning this all the way around and now working them possibly to become this crew. We'll see. Nothing more to add. So yeah, it's gonna be a very interesting thing. 3 to 3.5 stars is my rating for it as well. Now we just move on along to the next thing, which is Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams versus Charlie Dempsey and Drew Gulak. And it was Williams and Hayes winning the match. 6 minutes and 32 seconds. This was a pretty good tag team fight. I'm not going to say it was the greatest thing out there, but look, Mello is money. He's absolutely the star of NXT right now. They want to give him a good look. And not only that, but Trick Williams, who's actually done really well in the last few weeks. So he's looked pretty well as well under the circumstances. So Williams and Hayes gets a good win. That's good momentum for at least for especially for Carmelo heading into Roadblock as he's got the big championship fight with Ron Breaker in Lowell, Massachusetts. So we'll see how that plays out on Memorial Day weekend. And Anthony Florio, like I said, a solid 2-star bout. Nothing more to say. It's yours.
About a 6.5 minute or so match, you said. So
yes.
All right. This is about 2.5, maybe 2 3/4. NXT has done well to consistently set up talent with alliances and make a match like this possible. Neither is an active team in the tag division, but both have credibility due to their established chemistry. Gulak and Dempsey are not yet on the same level as Mello and Trick, but gained credibility by challenging them for a solid portion of this bout. While it lacked drama, it was good, strong action throughout. As far as notable stuff goes, not much. It was really after the match. Mello and Trick again called out Braun Breaker, who appeared on the Titantron to reveal he was in their signature barber shop. So, yeah. So, 2.5 or so. I think that's the best we can give this. So there isn't much more to say here. MF, let's move on.
All right. Next up, we had was Kiana James going one-on-one with Thea Hale. Kiana James winning the match in 4 minutes and 53 seconds. So, Anthony, it is yours.
Fairly standard match. James picked up some momentum, and Hale worked hard to make the most of her minutes, but neither competitor has a strong offensive repertoire. While Andre Chase is out, Chase U has lost some steam. It should return for the confrontation to come between Chase and Hudson, but it's a shame this recently hot angle is barely registering. Hudson did not remember he had agreed to let Hale fight James last night. During the match, he was more focused on grading tests than hyping his student. And that's really all there is to say on that. So this was about 2 2.25. I think that's the best I can give it. So it's yours, MF.
Yeah, 2 2.25. It was all right. It could have been a lot more better. It was solid for what it was worth. But at the end of the day, I thought it could have done a lot more better. But it was solid. It was all right for what it was worth. Next up after that, whole bunch of promo stuff and everything else. What we did get after that, our next legit match was Roxanne Perez versus JC Jane. Roxanne Perez advances 9 minutes and 6 seconds, and that sets off a mega fight. 1 week from now, in the semifinal, because we're looking at a possible Roxanne Perez Tiffany Stratton showdown. Whoa! You want to talk about high stakes in a semifinal? That's gonna be wild. So nothing more to say. Solid match. I'd probably say another 2.5 to 3. And Anthony, it's yours as Roxanne advances 9:06.
Indeed. JC Jane fought with a confidence that verged on arrogance, but Roxanne Perez made her pay for it when she ducked the discus boot and planted her opponent with pop rocks for the win. Perez is consistently reliable as the babyface fighting from underneath. She sold this as easily the most competitive battle in the tournament to date, and it was laid out well to avoid clunky transitions as in the opener. However, it never really hit top gear. That may be because Jane is still not quite seen as an equal to the prodigy. She fought hard but never had a real chance to win. The expected Final Four is set. Hopefully some surprises are in store next week because this tournament is lacking drama or true moments as things stand. Perez finally came back in this bout with an emphatic tope suicida to the floor, and then Tiffany Stratton and Roxanne Perez faced off afterward. Meanwhile, JC Jane and Gigi Dolan brawled until officials broke them up. I think we're looking at some sort of hardcore gimmick match between them at Battleground 2. So, but it will be Roxanne Perez and Tiffany Stratton in one semifinal, and the winner of that match will face either Lyra Valkyria or Cora Jade for the vacant NXT Women's Championship at Battlegrounds. So Perez and Stratton, MF, that could be a beauty right there. So that could be that could be the fight of the tournament so far. Very easily could have been the finals if they had wanted to, but it's hard to believe that this is not the final and that this is going to be a semifinal. And I'm going to make a bold prediction. I think whoever comes out of that match is going to win the title at Battleground. That's just how I feel. So three and a quarter, I would say second best fight of the night here. So not much more to say except MF. What a semifinal we're going to have with Perez and Stratton, a match that I thought could have easily been the final.
Yeah, easily. We'll have to wait and see how it plays out, but it's been an amazing tournament. It's been an all right tournament, but yeah, I mean, going into the final, I mean, look at the possibilities we could have from maybe Cora Jade and Roxanne once again, one-on-one in the final.
That's my number 2 option.
That's the number 2 option. Maybe we get a shocker. Maybe we get Lara Valkyria versus Tiffany Stratton in the final. I know that's kind of a little bit of a wishful thinking type thing. Like we said, there's a number of scenarios how this breaks down. So we'll see how it plays out. Next week is the semifinal matches, and yeah, closing with a promo segment between Braun Breaker and Carmelo Hayes, once again to set up their big fight at their premium live event from Lowell, Massachusetts. Nothing more to add there. So, Anthony, give us your overall thought on the show, and we'll get into AEW.
I'm leaning around 6.5, I guess. After a couple solid weeks of NXT shows, this was a letdown. The Creed Brothers versus the Dyad was the only outstanding match of the night by a lengthy margin. The rest of this show was rushed, and several in-ring promo segments were just bad. The primary culprit was the overbooked series of segments for Carmelo Hayes versus Braun Breaker. NXT took the minimalist approach in the build of their first match, but it didn't pay off. This time around, the product entirely revolves around them, and that worked until last night's show. Mello and Trick Williams calling out Breaker 3 times was just too much. The card for Battleground is shaping up strong, though, especially with Gallus versus the Creed Brothers. Next week, we'll set up the NXT Women's Championship final with a pair of semifinals that will outshine most of last night's action. The first round could have been more competitive, but the stage has been set well for the women to over-deliver. While this wasn't its best week, the future still looks bright for the Gold brand. So I'll give it about 6, maybe 6.5 at best. So not much more to say. MF, your overall thoughts?
Yes, I'll go 6. I think 6 is a solid number there. I don't think there's really much more for us to go on. So let's just move right on along. AEW tonight from the University of Texas, from Austin, Texas, at the Moody Arena, which was on the campus of the University of Texas. So yes, hook 'em horns for all those fans out there. And we started it off. There was a promo segment to start it off, but we like to talk about the in-ring action unless something's really relevant. But we started off with Lee Moriarty and Big Bill versus Orange Cassidy and Darby Allin. And it was Orange Cassidy and Darby Allin winning the match in 11 minutes and 15 seconds. Good opener, 3-star bout. Could have been better in certain areas, but it was still a solid fight, to say the very least. I enjoyed it. So nothing more to say. Anthony Florio, it is yours.
Yeah. But something did come from that opening segment afterward, MF, later in the night, during a backstage moment. It was announced that Wardlow will defend the TNT Championship against Christian Cage at Double or Nothing in a ladder match. Oh, yeah. That's going to be fun. So, all right. So, as far as this matchup is concerned, give it about 3.25 stars. 3.25, teetering on 3.5. There was a lot to like about this, including the underrated work of Lee Moriarty, Big Bill knowing exactly what he is as the giant power guy, Darby Allin's frenetic pace, and Orange Cassidy fighting from underneath while selling the toll his recent title defenses have taken on him. Unfortunately, it made no sense whatsoever. A rematch from the House Rules live events last weekend, it was a collection of 4 guys with no background thrown out there to have a good match with little or no reason for existing. Darby Allin is just over a week away from the biggest match of his career, but he's here, competing in a thrown together match with a guy in Orange Cassidy that he has never teamed with on television. It was entirely random and served no purpose other than to get the baby faces on TV. Excalibur mentioned on commentary that the Firm is no more following the Firm deletion match against the Hardys, Hook, and Isaiah Cassidy on last week's Rampage. Cassidy sold back spasms as he continued to tell the story of a champion being repeatedly worn down by constant title defenses. This was 3 1/4, and yeah, his body has been worn down because of those constant title defenses. Well, Double or Nothing. Oh, he's gonna be worn out all right. As it was announced, MF, that Orange Cassidy will be defending the International Championship at Double or Nothing in a 21-man blackjack battle royale. Oh yeah, you talk about being worn down. Oh yeah, you're gonna be worn down all right, buddy. So, but blackjack battle royale, 21-man for the International Championship. So it's gonna be very interesting to see who will be in that match. If there's any surprises, I don't know. We'll find out, but that's what it is. So 3 1/4 stars for this matchup here. Good opener, solid opener. So with that, MF freshly squeezed. Oh, he's gonna get freshly squeezed. All right, 21-man battle royale for that international title at Double or Nothing. Yeah, good luck.
If he can come out of that still the champion, I don't even know how. Like we said, any other time we'd be a little nervous. This is if he comes out of this still the champion after this, you've got to make the argument or the case that he could be the greatest champion of them all. Well, I mean, ever since they brought the All Atlantic title and made it the All Atlantic Championship, and now they call it the International, if he wins this, I mean, even though it's a small history and there hasn't been that many champions, he might go down as the greatest champion of them all. Maybe even probably the greatest champion in AEW history. I mean, that's surpassing any title reign of any current world champion, tag team champion. Maybe the only belt that you could maybe make an argument for is maybe the TBS champion because of how dominant Jay Cargill has been. But even some has even gone as far to say that Cargill's reign has not been that great. So maybe I might even go as far to say that it's even surpassed Jay Cargill's reign as the TBS champion. This could be the greatest reign in AEW history if he some way somehow gets by this 21-person battle royale. So we'll see. We'll see. All right. So with that said, we move right on along. Next up we had was Sammy Guevara. He had a squash match. He won in 22 seconds. We're not even talking about that. After that, we had a tag team fight. It was Ruby Soho and Tony Storm versus Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, and Hikaru Shida, and it was Ruby Soho and Tony Storm winning the match in roughly 9 minutes. Anthony Florio, it is yours.
3 stars here. The action-packed match saw Saraya interfere on behalf of the heels on more than one occasion. Her last efforts netting them the win as she distracted the official long enough for Ruby Soho to spray Britt Baker in the eyes with spray paint to set up the finish. Jamie Hayter and Saraya were both originally scheduled for the match, but an injury to Jamie Hayter necessitated a change. It did not hurt things, though. The bout was a fun one that may not have reinvented the wheel, but got the heels back on the winning side after they were outsmarted a week ago. With Double or Nothing on the horizon, before long, we were yet to find out exactly what the plans are for those involved in this match, but hopefully they involve the conclusion of this feud. As solid as this match was, it's time to move on and give the women something new and fresh to do. The announce team revealed that women's champion Jamie Hayter suffered an injury at the hands of the Outcast and could not compete in the originally scheduled trios match. Saraya got some cheap shots in on Britt Baker at ringside, but told the referee that the doctor tried to hit her, drawing the ire of the commentators. Soho passed Storm a can of spray paint, and the Aussie sprayed Baker in the eyes before delivering Storm 0 for the win. We all remember it was Jamie Hayter winning the AEW Women's Championship from Toni Storm back in November at Full Gear. MF at Double or Nothing, we're going to run that thing back. It will be Jamie Hayter versus Toni Storm one more time for the AEW Women's Championship at Double or Nothing. So will it be as good or better than the Full Gear match? Only time will tell. So a solid 3 for this one. So MF, Hayter, and Storm, Double or Nothing, running it back.
Yeah, and we cannot wait for that to happen. It's going to be it could be a heck of a fight, no doubt about that. So we'll see how that plays out. Then next up, I'll give it a 3-star bout as well. I thought they did a really good job with it, so nothing more to add there. Next up we had was a Falls Count Anywhere fight, Chris Jericho versus Roderick Strong. Roderick Strong winning the match in 13 minutes and 15 seconds. This was excellent. Now, it's not going to be for everybody. I'm going to openly admit it. There was a lot of people poo-pooing over this fight, saying that, that the way that they did the matchup was very lackluster. It wasn't that great. Some people kind of thought it could have been a lot more better in certain elements. But at the end of the day, I thought they felt like they did a pretty good job. So there's really nothing more to add. This was a 3.5-star bout. It was an excellent matchup. It was an excellent performance. And I'm very happy that we got the outcome. Look, the fight went all over the place. It went outside of the ring. It went up through the crowd. It went into the hallway of, in that mezzanine level, giving us that little bit of that 1996, if you remember. And I forgive me for saying it, but I'm going to mention his name, Chris Benoit versus the Taskmaster. Now, they didn't go to the bathroom or nothing like that, but they were at concessions. They did fight, in that area. It led to them fighting outside of the building. That's a rarity. We never seen that happen in wrestling, where they actually go physically outside of the building, but there was somebody lurking. That was Adam Cole. Remember, Adam Cole got ejected. He was thrown out of the building, not allowed in the building. And sure enough, he was outside of the building. It's a no DQ fight. Anything goes. And sure enough, he was a factor in the match. 3 stars for me. It was good, but like I said, it's not going to be for everybody. There were a lot of people slamming this fight. I'm not going to mention names. I'm not going to say who it was. But there was some people that were not for this fight. So, Anthony Florio, it is all yours.
To be honest, I thought this was, you could definitely make an argument for Fight of the Night honors. I'm giving this about 3.5 stars. It was a match that definitely exercised the rights and rules of the match, with Strong and Jericho fighting all over the building. The crowd following the battle chanted Y2J, unaware that was approximately 25 monikers ago. Eventually, things spilled outside where Adam Cole waited for Jericho and attacked him, setting up Roderick Strong's win. The match was a lot, reminiscent of hardcore matches during the Attitude Era of WWE. Some might make the argument that it was genius or that there were layers to it, but it was really just a good old-fashioned brawl around the arena that existed solely to get to the Cole moment. It did. The reveal of the babyface was fantastic, and the outcome was the right one. Love the match style or not, it did what it set out to, and the result was a successful one. Strong tried to score a pin in the stands, and Jericho responded by suplexing him through a table in the arena concourse. The fight spilled into a stairwell and Mr. Stoffy's stand. As they battled outside the arena, Adam Cole appeared, attacking Jericho and leveling him with the boom. Strong finished him from there with a big knee, scoring his first win in AEW. So there isn't much more left for me to say on this. 3.5 stars. One of the fights of the night for sure. It's between this and another one. So there isn't much more to say on that. So MF, we move on to our next match, and it featured another one of the pillars in that big main event for Double or Nothing.
Yeah, it was Jungle Boy Jack Perry. He goes one-on-one with Rush, and it was Jungle Boy winning the match in 10 minutes and 5 seconds. So, Anthony, it's yours.
3.25 for this one. Unfortunately, all right. Rush spent the majority of his match with Jungle Boy Jack Perry on the offensive, bloodying him early and dominating the action through the commercial break and back again. Unfortunately, his determination to score a win and punish one of the 3 top contenders to MJF's AEW World Heavyweight Championship along the way proved detrimental, as Perry capitalized on an opening and scored the win, pulling the tights, mind you, and getting the win. Don't think I didn't notice that, Fletcher. Don't think I didn't notice that. Pulling the tights and getting the win, Jungle Boy. Don't think I didn't notice that, young man. But you did. Post-match beatdown by Rush, Preston Vance, and Jose led Darby Allin and Sammy Guevara to make the save, most likely setting up some sort of tag team match for next week's show. Keep an eye on Jungle Boy Jack Perry in the coming weeks. It was uncharacteristic for him to resort to cheating to score the win here, and it'll be interesting to see if that is something that continues in the coming weeks, perhaps foreshadowing a heel turn for the popular underdog babyface. Otherwise, this was the 3rd instance of hype for the Double or Nothing main event that was relatively uninspired, not something you want en route to one of the biggest pay-per-view events of the year. Rush bloodied Perry entering the break, setting the stage for Perry to have to fight from underneath. Perry rolled his ultra-aggressive opponent up and held the tights for the win. After the match, Rush, Preston Vance, and Jose attacked Jungle Boy until Darby Allin and Sammy Guevara made the save. The 3 challengers to MJF's world title stared each other down to end the segment. 3.25 stars for this. So, MF, Jungle Boy pulling the tights and getting the win. MF, as I give it back to you. All right. I don't know if MF stepped away for a moment. Okay.
There he is. There we go. Yeah, I'm sorry. It kind of kicked me off for a second there. I don't know. It was really weird. Yeah, pulling the tights, getting the win. Something you don't see from Jungle Boy very often, but he did. He won the match that way. 3 stars, solid fight. Nothing more to add there. And now we do indeed move on to what was, well, I guess you could say, as far as the in-ring action, the main event of the, is there another match in one? Yeah. So as far as the in-ring action goes, this was the main event, as it was Jay White versus Ricky Stark, and Jay White winning the match by disqualification in 12 minutes and 20 seconds. Solid matchup. It was a good fight. Another 3 to 3.25 stars. I'm a little about the ending, but they did protect Jay White. They did protect Ricky Starks as well, because what happened was basically Juice Robinson tried to get involved in, try to interfere in the fight, and there was a chair there. The referee warned Ricky Starks, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it, don't use the chair. Ricky's like, screw it, whack, right on Jay White. And quite frankly, I would not have even bothered. I would have turned a blind eye on that son of a you know what. I would have turned a blind eye on that chair shot. The referee did not. Obviously, it's an obvious bell time for that one. Obvious disqualification. But trust me, I would not lose any sleep seeing Jay White get his ass kicked like that. So nothing more to say. It was a solid fight. It was a good 3-star bout. So I really got nothing more to add. Anthony, it's yours.
Oh yeah, we would have had a lot of fun on commentary on this one, MF. I mean, you would have been pro Ricky Starks, I would have been pro Jay White, and I would have been in full on Jesse mode when Ricky Starks was doing the chair stuff. I mean, and yeah, and you would have been like, and I would have been like, stop it, Fletcher, you're supposed to be unbiased here. And you're like, I don't care. Yeah, but I know it's well documented, MF, that you can't stand Jay White, and it's been well documented on this program many of times, and it's well documented that he's one of the best heels in the game today, and I love his style of work. I love his body of work, and I think we're going to run this thing back at Double or Nothing because I don't think anything was really settled tonight. So, match was solid and featured great fire from Ricky Starks, but it felt like the first chapter in a story with more to tell. The action was perfectly acceptable, but the booking suggests there's more to come. Unfortunately, AEW has already blown through the tag team match and the Starks-White singles match, leaving the endgame in question. Late in the match, Juice Robinson tripped up Ricky Starks, seemingly setting him up for the Blade Runner. Starks escaped, delivered a spear, and appeared to have White beaten, but Juice Robinson again got involved. He attempted to use a chair, but Starks took it away, blasted both him and Jay White with it, drawing the disqualification. So it's 3.25. It was really the 3.5-star match, but I'm bumping it down to 3.25 because of the finish. So but yeah, Mef, if we were doing commentary on this, we would have had a lot of Gorilla and Jesse fun on this one. So no doubt about it. So with that, we move on to what ended up. It's not often that AEW main events their shows with in-ring segments, but this one, most certainly needs to be addressed. Oh boy.
It certainly needs to be addressed. It was the main event of the main event segment, as it was the promo segment by Don Callis explaining his actions for why he turned on, for why he betrayed Kenny Omega, but it led to a chaotic scene as, of course, the Blackpool Combat Club came out, the Elite came out with a surprise. The returning cowboy himself, Hangman Adam Page, came back, and a major announcement coming out of this one, as it's going to happen at Double or Nothing. They called it Anarchy in the Ring. So it's basically, if you remember all the classic fights or anything else in the past, it's basically like the stable stampede or the fight at the where they used to do it at the TIAA Bank Field. So it's gonna be one of those type of fights. Anything goes. Falls count anywhere. My God, Anthony Florio. Well, there's really nothing more to say. It's yours.
Segment of the night. Yeah, it was the segment of the night. Yes, but it was super rushed. Further evidence of the layout of the show being too jam-packed with middling content and the important stuff suffering as a result. Still, Hangman Adam Page's return drew a big pop, as did the announcement of the match for the pay-per-view, Anarchy in the Arena. It would have been nice to get a less generic explanation out of Don Callis before the segment descended into chaos, but there will be time for that later, apparently. For now, this was a mostly successful show-closing segment, if only because we finally have another main event quality match for the second biggest pay-per-view of the year, as well as the return of a former world champion in Hangman to accentuate it. Callis took credit for creating Omega in a brief promo. Moxley exclaimed after the BCC laid out Kenny Omega, we are the Elite. And then the Young Bucks and the returning Hangman Adam Page joined Omega on the ramp, ready to go to battle with his Elite partners. We are the Elite, Hangman said. And at Double or Nothing, it's the Elite and Blackpool Combat Club, Anarchy in the Arena. Hangman said, adding another match to the Double or Nothing card. This one, I believe, is going to steal the damn show. I mean, if the last few years have been any indication, whether it's Anarchy in the Arena or the Stadium Stampede in Jacksonville, I mean, we're gonna be in for some wild and crazy moments during this one. So can't wait. Looking forward to it. I mean, these are the matches that I get most excited about, and this particular one I'm most excited about. So there isn't anything left for me to say on this. So MF, did you give your thought on this, or does it go back to me for the overall review here? MF, are you there? I'm thinking maybe MF's having some issues again. I don't know, but okay, there you are. Did you give your thought on this end segment, MF, or do I take the overall review here? All right. Well, I'll take the overall review here for a moment.
Yeah, it was really this.
Yeah, MF, I think you're cutting in and out on me here. So
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. But you sound a little jumbled, jarbled there. So. But I was able to hear you for a moment. So but while MF gets situated, I'll
Sorry
take
about that.
Oh, there you are. Okay. All right. So
I just wanted to know. Okay, so yeah. Well, my thoughts goes like this. It was a really good. It was a really good segment. I don't mind the body of work. It was solid. I really don't think it was anything bad. I thought it was a really good way, great way to introduce the main event more than anything else. I got really nothing more to say. All right, Anthony, go ahead. Give me your overall thoughts.
I'm thinking about 7.5 here. There was something off about this show. From the moment Tony Khan went with the Wardlow promo segment to start it off, I mean, we were bookended by promo segments. We started with a promo and we ended with a promo. The randomness of the Orange Cassidy Darby Allin tag team match that followed, the overstuffing of matches and segments into the 2-hour window, and an abbreviated show closing segment did not help matters. Perhaps with the announcement of AEW Collision earlier in the day, which will premiere Saturday night, June 17th, Tony Khan was busier than usual, resulting in the show being less focused or more frenetic than usual. But whatever tonight's broadcast was, it did not feel like the penultimate episode of Dynamite before the staple event, that is Double or Nothing. Kudos to Britt Baker, Hikaru Shida, Tony Storm, and Ruby Soho, who had a really fun tag match midway through. Lee Moriarty for maximizing his minutes. Orange Cassidy for being, I believe, the company's MVP here in 2023. And the cameraman behind the super cool visual of Adam Cole appearing behind Chris Jericho during the Falls Count Anywhere match. 7.5 for me. So it's looking more and more likely that we're not going to get Michael Bullock this evening. So I'm making an executive decision. Tomorrow night, TXN Sports World, we're leading off with Game 1 of the Celtics chat. MF, it's yours.
All right, I'm totally agreeing with that. I'll definitely say yes to that. Look, 7.5 is my rating as well. They did a really good job, and that's it. So tomorrow night, like Anthony said, 10:30 is TXN Sports World. So Floyo, quickly hit us with the docket.
Indeed, I will. We are going to lead, since Michael Bullock did not join, since Michael Bullock was not with us tonight, we're going to lead off tomorrow night's show with Game 1 of the Game 1 Conference Finals edition of the Celtics chat. And we'll also talk about Doc Rivers. Doc Rivers is now looking for employment as he was fired as the head coach of the Philadelphia 76ers. The San Antonio Spurs winning the NBA draft lottery. The Chicago Blackhawks winning the NHL draft lottery. We will recap the XFL championship game between the Arlington Renegades and the DC Defenders. We'll preview week 6 of the USFL. And then in a co-double main event, a preview of the NHL conference finals and the NBA Conference Finals. So that's all going down tomorrow night, 10:30, TXN Sports World, Tone 25. So with that, MF, hit us up with the rest of the future content.
Then after that, Friday night. We actually do have a what we're gonna do is we got Friday night Cerebral Smack Talk. We're starting with AEW Rampage. Then AEW Rampage. Then they'll be followed by SmackDown Live, and then I believe that's gonna be it. I don't think there's anything else. Then Monday night,
game two of the Celtics chat.
Game two of the Celtics chat. We'll get if we get there, we'll get there. And then of course, then after that, then Monday night we do it all over again. So for Anthony Florio, I'm Michael Fletcher. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and we will see you tomorrow night. So long, everybody.
Goodbye.